What's up, guys? It's Chicago. I'm with the AMG right now. I never show you guys the car, but I love it. I talk about it a lot in the Discord. But I just had to pull over and record this video because it drops so much sauce in relation to prop firm accounts, how to scale them, how to easily pass evals, how to just take advantage of the opportunity you have with prop firms right now. And I basically wanted to impart that knowledge. I've been doing this for over 5 years. I've been trading. I started with options, became profitable with swing trading options, switched to futures not long after. And I kind of had a little bit of a different journey. Usually everybody starts out with a prop firm right now. They're great opportunities. I started out on a personal account. I'm glad I started on a personal account, but I'm also glad that I added prop firm accounts into my arsenal because it basically helped me to scale so much more. But if I was starting out from a cost-effective standpoint, you could definitely go the Apex route, and you can get an account for pretty cheap, depending on what you get. My alarm's going off. You can get an account for $20, $50, right? Or you can get an alpha account, a zero account, like a 50K. The main goal as you start out is just trying to turn, a little bit of my money into a lot. Basically being able to flip and scale. And being cost effective with it. Now, when you're starting out, trading your plan to a T is pretty important. Just getting used to the platform is pretty important. But once you actually have your feet wet in the space, you've been trading, you know what strategy that you're trading, that's when you can be a little bit more aggressive with the evals. So instead of wasting months and months and months on the same eval, just trading the same way with super, super, super small size, and kind of being scared at the same time, once you kind of have that strategy set, your feet wet, then you can be a little bit more aggressive. You can use a little bit more size, a few more contracts. Let's say you're on a 50K. Instead of using like one mini, then you can use 3 minis and actually be able to compound and just pass that eval pretty fast. If you know what you're doing, everybody has their own opinion, but if you know what you're doing and you just want to pass the account instantly and just be able to get that PA immediately and just get that payout immediately, you can size a little heavier for those, but obviously that is the more riskier side of it. If you want to just size heavier on super A+ setups, you can do that to pass the account a little faster. But the main moral of the story is if you have a model that works and you see A+ setups, you can trade those setups with confidence, and since it's an eval, you might as well pass it in a timely manner instead of letting it renew and renew and renew. But if you use the right size, you can pass your account in 2 trades. Both on A+ setups, you can get it out the way, and now you finally have a passed account that you can finally work towards a payout with. A lot of people are too hard set on passing eval. They'll be like, oh, look at my certificate, this and that. If you really think about it, passing evals is meaningless. Not meaningless, but it doesn't matter as much as you think. Like, a lot of people treat it as like, oh, I passed an account. Anybody can just, full port on CPI and pass an account. What matters is the payout. So how do you get to that point? Now, obviously, with your strategy, you want to be able to fine tune it to where you're confident enough in it to really hit your stride. Obviously, with the model that you trust, and depending on what you're risking, whatever your drawdown might be, you essentially want to figure out what you're comfortable with from a losing perspective. And what I mean by that is a lot of people are kind of confused when it comes to that part about sizing or how much should they worry about drawdown. What I do, depending on the account size, let's say you're on a 50K account, and let's just say you have $2,000 drawdown. So what I would do is use that drawdown number and figure out what you're most comfortable risking. So you can risk $500, you can risk $400, $300. Around that is usually going to be your sweet spot. Now, the main thing is having a model that has a decently high win rate. Some people like a higher risk to reward with a lower win rate. Some people like a higher win rate with a lower risk to reward, vice versa, whatever it may be. From a mental aspect, it's best to have as high of a win rate as you can, and the risk to reward that comes with it. Obviously, you're not aiming for a negative RR, but you want to be able to have something that's conducive and helps you stack and compound those gains. So with that math that we were talking about, you divide 2,000 by 4, and now that leaves you with 500. That means that by risking $500, whenever you hit stop loss, you're going to lose $500. By knowing that, you know that you have 4 trades after you pass the account, that if you were to lose all 4 trades in a row, that's what it would take to blow the account. Now, with your strategy, remember, you're aiming for a higher win rate. You're not trying to lose 4 trades before you win your first. You want to be able to have that confidence. Me personally, my model has an 82% win rate. So I know 8 times out of 10, I'm going to win my trade. It's very unlikely. I'm not even lying. I can't even remember the last time I lost 4 trades in a row. I'm not even going to say that I haven't, but I don't even think I have. I've lost 3 trades in a row. I don't know about 4. So by putting that into perspective, you know that you can risk $500 comfortably. Now, before all of this, you want to back test, you want to forward test, you want to make sure that you're comfortable trading a model. Like I said at the beginning, I'm reiterating this right now. You need a model that you can trust. You can't just trade anything and hope to get a payout. This is only feasible if you have an actual model that works, right? You can pass that eval fast like we already talked about. But now when you get some more serious part, this is where you really got to figure out what you're capable of doing. But when you start off, let's say you risk $500, as you build that account up and you get farther and farther away from drawdown, this is when you can risk a little bit more. Now, it's important for people to remember this because a lot of people are so fixated on using lower position size when they get to the past account or taking it trade by trade. And they're like, oh, I want to scale already, and that impatience comes in. Just stop being impatient. When that impatience sets in and then you start over leveraging when you're not supposed to, you're going to derail your entire journey, your entire plan of trying to scale. It's literally going to derail. You're going to have to start from zero. As you progress, you kind of want to reward yourself. You don't want to just give yourself a higher position size off of doing nothing. You keep blowing accounts. Oh yeah, let me use more. That makes zero sense. So when you actually do good things and you're making a positive move in your trading or you're progressing, you're seeing your model play out, you're doing the right things, now you can scale a little bit higher. You can use a little bit more contracts, which means, yes, you're going to have a little bit higher risk, but your potential reward is also increasing. And if your win rate and your risk to reward are in your favor, then that higher potential reward will be in your pockets now. But the goal is to always have a $2,000 buffer and that little protection that you can, at least to start out. Because remember, the goal is to get as far away from drawdown as possible while you're continuously getting payouts. So at some point, you'll be way away from drawdown. You can continuously take payouts and not have to worry about drawdown. But at first, you definitely want to focus on that $2,000 buffer. As a profitable trader, you want to be able to be as comfortable and put yourself in the most comfortable position possible, because in no way, shape, or form as a profitable trader should you be worrying about drawdown breathing down your back. So after risking 500, you can risk 750. After you risk 750, you can risk 1,000, and so on and so forth. And depending on your trading style, your risk to reward, your win rate, all of that, now instead of risking $500 to make $500 plus or 750 or 1,000 plus, now you're looking at $2,000, $2,500, $3,000 gains. And you can get to a point so where you're risking $2,000 per trade to make $6,000, $7,000, $10,000, depending on where you take profit. The goal is to have the long-term view of this, because you can't just be impatient right away trying to use the max amount of contracts that you can, and then that passive account just evaporates. You will get there, it just takes some time. Now, when to take a payout, everybody's ultimate goal, everybody's favorite part. Now, we talked about scaling, rewarding yourself, but it's very, very important when you get that account that once you build it up to a good enough amount, if possible, take that payout, especially when it's your first payout. I call it the validation payout because it's so important and integral in your trading. It's so important both for a boost of confidence, but also to recycle that money into more accounts. Now, it's obviously very important to set aside money for taxes at the end of the year and everything. But with that first payout, now you want to recycle it into more accounts. Once again, this has to be with a model that you trust and that's consistent. You can't just buy more accounts when you're not making progress, you're not doing good, you're just continuously blowing them. So usually, most commonly, you could take a payout of $1,000 or 1.5K. And obviously over time, as you continue to pass and scale those accounts, now you can add it to your arsenal, you can group trade them, all that good stuff, and now you're multiplying your gains by 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, even more than that by group trading them. But at first, you definitely want to focus on that $2,000 buffer. So if you're 4K in profit on the account, take a $2,000 payout. If you're 5K in profit, take a $3,000 payout. The overall goal and message here is to be smart. You can scale super, super fast, but you can only get there by doing it the right way at the beginning. The beginning is the hardest part. Now, one day, the goal is to get to max allocation across multiple different prop firms. You can get max allocation with Alpha, Apex, Top Step, Tradeify. At that point, when you're group trading your accounts, the amount of money that you're going to be making is going to be sickening. But you can go from one account to 2 to 3 to 5 to 10. And using that same process that we talked about earlier, you're just continuously following your plan and building those accounts up and building that buffer out. So now if you're using that same risk, let's say you're risking $500, you're making $1,000, you're making $2,000 in your trades. And let's say you go from one account to 3 accounts. You're $3,000 in profit on all 3 accounts. Now remember, to keep that 2K buffer on every single account, you could take a $1,000 payout on all 3 of those accounts, which means that you're getting $3K in your pocket. Now remember what we talked